Yeah.
All right, how about if we start with the pledge and then we'll just jump right in. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, thanks for being here. A couple of things I thought we would do tonight, but as always, I am open to feedback about adjusting our agenda, adjusting our activity. But after our last meeting, we had said we'd like to do a more formal survey. So we got some good, I think people got some good feedback just talking casually to others, and that kind of guided some of the revisions in our survey. Kristen and Dawn and I met and tried to incorporate all of the feedback from that night. So there is now a Google form, and I shared the link with everybody. Sandy, I know you had trouble getting to the link, so I made sure we had a hard copy for tonight, and we could take some time to look at it since you might just be seeing it now. I don't know if anyone else was able to get into the link. If you weren't, that'd be good feedback. Everybody else was okay. But I thought what we could do tonight is just sort of review it. Like, I'd like everybody to weigh in on like what's in there, the content. I'm not worried about the formatting in terms of like, is it pretty enough? But really, like, does it flow in a way that's useful? Is it the right amount of information? So we could do all of that. And then after we get that locked in, I'd love to talk about like a distribution plans. Like, where are we headed with this thing? We talked about getting a QR code, putting it out there on social media. We talked about having paper copies here at the GPCC because people might actually pick them up and fill them out. So then we could talk about sort of from a distribution perspective how we want to get this thing out there so that we get as many responses and as diverse a representation of responses as possible. So those are the first two things. And the third is, I would love to start simultaneously as we get the survey out the door, also talk about how we can look at what others do, what other municipalities do. So if we have a chance, and we do have a chance to revise our website, to think differently about our use of social media, it'd be nice to kind of poke around and find some other best practices. White Marsh recently updated their website. We can take a look there and other places and see what we like. Like, what do we see others do that we think, like, that's fabulous, we should mirror that. So that's one. And two, I thought we should also just continue to sort of explore and assess some of our communication channels. Like, we have a Facebook page. Like, I would love to know, like, of the things on our Facebook page, like, what got hits? What did people comment on? What didn't they respond to? If we look at the Plymouth Township Police Department Facebook page, again, like, what do people react to? Like, where are we seeing action? Because that'll also inform maybe some of our recommendations going forward. But I think at this point we could do some of that simultaneously. Dig into what's happening in other municipalities, look more deeply at our own stuff, and push the survey out the door. And then by the time the survey comes back, maybe with our deep dives, we'll be in a good place to say, like, here's some plans and recommendations going forward. So that's what I was thinking for tonight. Does that sound okay? Is that a good place to jump in? Cool. So number one would just be looking at the survey and just evaluating sort of like what's on paper and what we like. Is there anything missing, anything we don't like about the wording, the wordsmithing? We all have like thick skin, so no one has a lot of ego attached to the survey. No one's going to be hurt if you say something's in the wrong order or you missed something. So should we just maybe take it like top to bottom and see what we like? Cool. And then one of the things we'll talk about, this is a Google form currently. We just learned that we might not be able to use Google Forms in distribution, but we'll get to that. This would be digital and paper. Okay, so why don't we just start with the opening message, because that's either going to capture people's attention and get them to reply or not. So any thoughts about just the opening message, the introduction?
I think it would be helpful to ground people, and I've looked through the survey, but one of the things that I think we even struggled with at first as a team was trying to think of the different buckets of where communication occurs. So I think incorporating that, it's really spelled out a lot, and I guess question 4, like the top of the back page. But I think maybe, incorporating that in there
Mhm.
something to the effect of township, I don't know what they're called, committees, departments, share information through a number of different ways, newsletters, GPCC, just kind of giving people an idea when you're talking about the communication channels, like what does that even mean?
Okay. So in our opening, maybe spell that out.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
And then I really like, how clearly the intent is stated. We want to ensure we do a good job, like all that I really like.
Okay. Okay, cool. Good feedback. What else? Anything else sort of in that opening message? Anything, if you were reading that, would that compel you to answer the survey?
Do you mean this up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the very first, like where we, like the first thing people read when they.
So my reaction is that this is very formal and kind of passive.
Okay.
And maybe it would be a little more energetic if you said something like, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like.
Mm.
Yeah.
That seems like it might be a little more engaging.
Catchy,
Yeah.
Cool.
Instead of, your opinion matters.
Yep.
Your thoughts.
Oh, yeah, your opinion matters. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
one, too,
that's a
yes.
good thing.
That's a good
Yes,
headline,
yeah.
yeah, for just the
I
top.
like that.
Right.
And to that point, like that last sentence, this survey will help us assess,
Yep.
probably would be good to have up top. Similar to, you could, similar to the comment about, tell us what you like, what you don't like. So it's really stating the intent up front.
Cool. Okay, keep going.
So is this email account here, is that just like a sample?
Oh,
Like
oh,
just someone-
yeah.
Yes,
You
because
just,
I printed it.
yeah,
yes.
because Joanna
So that's
printed it
just
for
your,
us.
your email,
Yeah.
because you're,
Yeah.
it is
If-
whoever's.
Yes,
whoever's,
it would
okay.
change based on, well, and that's going to change when we take it out of Google, out of a Google
Okay.
Doc. So that won't be there.
Okay, then.
But that's just because I photocopied it.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what does that mean? Like, is it identifiable who it comes from? Like, if I open it and it's my email address and I respond to it, does it show that it came from my email
I
address?
don't think so.
There's
It's
a s-
anonymous. So
Yeah, there's
I
a
think-
setting, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
inside the survey where you collect email addresses or not. And I would say not.
Maybe we should
but
specify
maybe say
it's
it.
anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because some people get a little bit
Yeah.
creeped
Or
out.
they might
I
not tell
think
their
it's-
full opinion.
I think it's
You know?
good to
Yeah,
put.
yeah. Right, exactly.
I
Yeah.
think it's good to put your response, that was sort of what I was thinking when I saw the email there.
Mhm.
It should explicitly say your response is anonymous.
Is anonymous.
I
Yep.
didn't even realize that could happen, that you'd fill out a survey and your emails could be collected from it, without your knowledge or checking a box for that. like-
Yeah.
That's why I think it's really important we specify it.
Yeah,
Mhm. That's good.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll say that right up front, and we'll set it so that we're not collecting email addresses.
Well, we have to see how Microsoft 365 works too.
What kind of options they have. Yeah, I'm not familiar with their mirror solution. I'm sure they have something that we can. Google Forms is very nice. It works very easy. It's very seamless. It's very easy to use.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that 365 offers a similar solution. So we can just basically take this and convert it
Yeah.
one to one.
I'm sorry, I missed the
Yes,
part where we were
so-
talking about what the
Google.
issue was with Google
Yeah.
Forms. Is it just not secure?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a yes, a legal compliance and our township cyber insurance issue to not be using Google.
Got it.
And we're going to use Microsoft 365 Cloud.
Mhm.
And we've had 2 meetings already, the IT department switching things over. Not that we were on Google, but just take stuff to the cloud, I guess. Is
Yeah.
that what your meetings
Yeah.
are about? And then
Yeah, and they provide a lot of very similar solutions to the Google Suite, all cloud-based.
So we're
there might
thinking
be
there's
some-
a similar
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
gotta be
Similar
some-
Yeah, yeah.
Microsoft
Yeah.
365 form.
I'll do my homework on that. I'll see
Awesome.
what's out there so we can
That'd be great.
anticipate
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Cool.
And we
Okay.
hope to have that in,
It's coming soon.
2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, we've already signed up for it. We're just learning, getting the support, and we're learning about it now.
Mhm.
IT department first. Community center second.
All right. What else in our opening? This is good. This is all good feedback. Anything else we want to say? Anything else we want to tweak that's there? All right. We can come back. Yep, please.
I
Al.
have a comment.
Yes.
So, there's a lengthy list of things here, about 5 or 6 of them are social media. And if I remember correctly, not too many people checked off too many of these other things other than the Facebook pages.
Meaning like Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, those things. I mean, it might be better to just say other, social media, other, or something like that. I don't know.
Can you tell Brandon if anybody looks at that?
Facebook, you can.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Instagram and Twitter though.
Well, Twitter has a great analytics, so on a post, you can see it in real time, how many people see it. But as far as like profile hits, there's probably a third-party service that can provide you with that information. Like our website can do that too, but you have to go through like Google Analytics and things like that. Facebook, I know there's a way.
Yeah, Facebook's
Yeah,
actually
Facebook,
They're very
there's
business
definitely a way.
oriented. Yeah.
In Instagram, there's a way too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how many people do you think will answer the survey this way? Like, we probably did about 100, right? 10 a person.
Mhm.
Like, how many,
But if we put this up online, is that what you're saying?
yes.
Within what, like a month's time, how much do you think we'll get?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say. Long as we get it to the right spots, like I think the social media, especially Facebook, it'll probably get a lot of hits that way. So, I mean, I can't really put an
So I'm
approximation
just
on
curious,
it. But
like, is it Al? Okay, Al's point, like, maybe we don't know that a lot of people use these other things because we had such a small sampling. But maybe that was a
right.
big sampling. That's what I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah.
Are we going to get like 1,000 people? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
what's the
I
sampling?
think it's easy, a lot of people.
yeah,
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe there would be more. And would you put it on these social media sites?
Totally.
All these different
Yeah.
sites. So then,
yeah, because we would probably, if we do a QR code, we'd probably put that everywhere. So then they'd be able to access that everywhere, and then they could take the form, and yeah, really it's just you're clicking, so it's very easy for the end user, and so I would anticipate many to come through.
It's short enough,
It's-
so,
do
Yeah.
we, like,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
who
what we're trying to do,
monitors, like,
keep it
the
short.
X account or Instagram, like, who puts stuff on? Does the township do that?
You have an active account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one too. So
Yeah, we have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Oh, see, I didn't know you have Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't know you had.
I
Twitter,
actually
but I
looked to
don't
try and
use
find it because I
Twitter.
thought, is there a GPCC Twitter? And I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Is it not Twitter anymore?
it's X.
Excellent. So we should
I
I have none
missed
of this.
It's formerly
I have-
known as Twitter.
Yeah.
I think that's
To
the
the
official.
point, to your point about it being easy, I felt like it's a little daunting to me, all the number of options. And I know it depends on what platform you end up distributing it through, but it'd be really nice if you just could say website and then either in parentheses explain that it's Plymouth Township or GPCC, or if you could drop down and select.
Which you might be able to do, like subcategory, kind of.
Yeah.
Like if you don't use social media, then you don't have to click that first social media
Yeah.
thing, and then if you do
Oh,
use it, then other
It
options
opens
drop
up.
down.
It opens up. Have you ever seen those little things where
Yeah.
it's like a tree, and if you click on it, it opens up that branch
Yeah.
Right.
and
Yeah,
expands
so-
it. So then, if you unclick it, then
So
it
you
only,
look
it
at
only
it first,
I
expands.
know
like,
what you're talking
it
about.
would be
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Exactly.
overwhelming.
That would make it shorter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it shorter.
I
Visually,
yeah.
and then
It
if-
probably also
you know.
depends whatever the service we are using, the
Right,
capabilities
right.
are.
Yeah, so, but I think
You
the
wouldn't see all
point
these
is,
options.
Yeah.
unless we have a reason that we need to know specifically if it was the Plymouth Township website or the GPCC website, if we don't need that granularity of information, then I would opt for putting that within the question so that it looks less daunting and increases our chances of people completing it.
Yeah, I'm afraid if we don't though, like it's kind of the root question, right? Like where are people going? Like if they're looking at all of your stuff, if they're all over the GPCC, let's just say Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page, but they're not looking at the township stuff. Like we need to know that either because we should stop posting things on the township stuff, or we should enhance the township page so people go there.
Okay, yeah.
So I would.
So we would take an action. That's what I was looking
That's-
for. Like, what are we
yeah.
going to do with it?
Yeah, see, I think
Could
it
you do
helps.
the drop
agree.
down though?
I
So
agree.
Yeah.
then maybe the drop down would make it look not so daunting. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're right,
I
when
think that
see-
would be
so-
ideal.
And then,
Website, you know.
then you'd still get all
Yes.
like the granular.
Yes.
Social media,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, and, you know.
Because you're
You would
right,
have
Yep.
to
and there's a
decide to
lot of
figure that out,
choices,
right?
sometimes we don't
Yeah.
make a choice.
Hopefully it's
Yeah, yeah.
It would
available
make it
to
look
But
us.
I-
smaller with all of the same options.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
appreciate
visual-
the reminder because I
visual
forgot
very
why
important, 'cause
we wanted that.
people can
Yeah.
find it there, though.
What are we going to focus
Especially
on
if they're on their
updating
phone,
or
Yes,
mimicking?
correct.
Yeah.
you know. with-
Yes.
Okay.
You could be scrolling for a while.
Yeah.
So-
It'll look long if you're on your phone.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so we'll see if we could branch it and cut back. At least we could cut down. We could have one website category, one social media category, and even under social media, we could say Facebook and then GPCC. You know what I mean? We could have sub-branches. And then if there's a few outliers, like talk with other residents, the patch, things inside the sewer bill, which are onesies, but that's a much shorter list. Okay, that's a great idea. Cool. Is there anything, I almost hate to ask, but is there anything missing from here? Like, I didn't know you had a Twitter account. I couldn't find it. Is it,
I know we do.
I want to make sure we capture,
Too, right?
Yeah.
Township does too.
yep, I have a township one.
I don't use Twitter, so I'm not very good at Twitter.
Okay. So we'll branch this. We'll try and tighten it up where we can. And then how do we feel about the open-ended question that follows, which is if you told us about anything, these things, if you feel strongly, like what do you like and what don't you like, what works well, they might say, I love the push messages from the GPCC, I struggled with something or didn't know you even had. I mean, that just gives them a chance to kind of give us a little bit more if they want to. It's an optional question. Are we okay with that?
Should we end it, I mean, is there some way to indicate that if they don't have anything to say, they don't have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have that asterisk.
Yes.
I feel like as long as they have the option to not write anything,
Yeah.
then
Yeah, so we'll make
can
sure
always skip
that,
it, you
yeah,
know?
we'll make sure that's clearly optional. Can we flip over to the front page? I just want to make sure we're locked in on the demographics too before we go deeper. When we talked last, we said we wanted to collect some demographics. We wanted to be sure people were township residents, because it is possible that someone could come to the GPCC, scan the code, or grab a survey, and they're from East Norriton or White Marsh, which doesn't mean we don't love them, but their opinion matters less than our own residents. And we said we wanted to ask ages because that does help us know if we're accommodating everybody and different needs around technology. And just whether folks were homeowners or renters. As we have a lot of people, for example, who don't get sewer bills. If you are in an apartment, you don't even see a sewer bill. That medium doesn't matter to you. But we did say we didn't want to go too deep and ask other questions that might make people uncomfortable or were even like off-putting questions, because sometimes, even like a gender question could make somebody feel, the way we word it could make someone feel excluded or uncomfortable.
I think we should maybe include young, like even like maybe 16, 15, 18. I mean, because there's people that younger teenagers, they're very interested in the township, maybe getting into politics, so maybe they really are interested in knowing this stuff.
Yeah.
So if they're not on there, they're going to say, okay, well, this doesn't apply to me, and
Good point.
and that's valid. That's some valid information that we can get from them. So
So should we extend the bottom of this so it's below 18, or should we have a category that's like 13 to 17?
maybe like younger than 18. Or,
I was kind of thinking maybe reduce the number of categories. and then 20 years.
Mhm, okay.
Bracket.
Okay, so we'll have an under 18, we can add that, and then what's your thought about
Well,
reducing, like,
well,
to
so
bundle some of them up?
These are 10-year brackets, but,
Mhm.
again, it's sort of a lengthy list, especially
Yeah.
on the phone. If you have it might be,
20, 40, 40, 60, 60.
I mean,
Plus.
0 to 19,
Mhm.
0 to 20 to 39. Go 20
Two
year.
decades at a time.
Yeah, 2
But
decades at
they're-
a time.
Like 15 to 21, that's a different demographic. Then they start working,
Yeah.
and they're still,
Yeah.
and mostly single.
Mhm.
But then I think you have a different demographic, like when you're in your 30s and 40s, you're dealing with children,
Mhm.
and you're going to use a different, maybe 50s and 60s or more without
Mhm.
children, more than
Yeah,
their
but
older
still working,
adults.
but still working.
So, I don't know. No, I guess too, can you find out, is it Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay. Based on, like, will it pull from here and say, oh, we found a lot of 50 to 59-year-olds, like, yeah, can you pull data that pulls it all together and says, oh, like, uses social media and does
Based on the
this and
demographic?
this?
Is that what you mean? Based
Yeah,
on-
like, how does the
Yeah, I
data
think
come
you-
out at the end?
I think you might be able to filter it like that, but I don't know how granular it gets. I don't know about Google, but maybe 365, Microsoft has something that you can get a little
My
more
guess
granular.
is that 365 will take the results and put it in an Excel spreadsheet,
Mhm.
and then you can data sort an Excel spreadsheet.
Exactly.
Right.
Because
yeah.
maybe it doesn't, maybe we don't need so many categories if it's not going to, like, make it granular. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
because we
I
just
mean, you
want to
can
make
do a
sure
fill in the
we're
blank.
hitting a lot of different
Yeah.
people. But
Yeah.
are we hitting a lot of different people so we can also figure out, well, how are we going to reach the younger people?
So you're
Can-
saying like
Yeah.
we would just like have them state their age and then sort on that number just to see what we get as opposed?
I don't know. I guess I'm just curious.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
How does
Oh,
what's
yeah.
how is the data going to be
Compiled.
presented back to us, and what do we want from it?
'Cause
So
I
do
think-
we just want it. Before we said we wanted to make sure it was very diverse,
Mhm.
but do we also want to figure out, well, what's important to which all these age groups, and are we hitting them all? And maybe we do need all these different avenues to hit all the different
Mhm.
people. Does that make sense?
Right.
Because I think
Yeah.
how Google does it, there's two ways of looking at results. You can see it per survey. So you can see it, a full survey that was given to you by one individual, or you can see it based on the question. And it's across all participants. So it's not really telling you much. There's not really much telling you about the data by seeing that.
But with Google, you can put it into.
You can do a spreadsheet.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do a spreadsheet.
And then you can manipulate it.
Sort it.
Yeah.
So that would be, you would definitely have to
I'm
export.
sure that's what Microsoft.
Yeah, so you could sort out the 20, for example, the 20 to 29s and see what they had to say.
Yeah, yeah. So you would have to
Yes,
take it a
you
step
could do that.
further, and you definitely can manipulate the data a little bit. Not manipulate, but you can definitely go in there and filter it differently. So I think that's possible. I
And
think
we
that
can
would give us a
decide
bit
that
more.
later because we might
Yeah,
not know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Until later and be like,
Yeah.
wait, I wish I knew.
I mean, you could always
Yeah.
do a fill in the blank.
Yeah, maybe that is better. 'Cause
And then,
we're-
I mean,
yeah.
you don't have to worry about it being a long list.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder then if you could filter and say, for example, give me anybody under 21, or give me 21 to 29, like,
Yes.
you think
Because
of-
you would just sort it based on that column
Yeah.
in chronological order and just take out
Yeah.
the age group that you want to look at closer in Excel.
And I know Microsoft has many tools that you can get really granular
Yeah.
with data, like Power BI. It's really impressive. So we can leverage that to.
If we could do that, that does sound like the best
Yeah.
option, because then, like, to your point, Becky, if we wanted to say, give me 19 to 21-year-olds, right? They're college age. Like, are they looking at anything while they're away at college, or no? Or we might want to say 21-year-olds, or they also could have just graduated. Let's look at 21s and bucket them in with 21s to 25s, like young professionals. Like, it does give us more flexibility, I think. assuming we can do that we could actually ask it to then, filter it however we want.
Yeah. I'm quite confident we'll be able to do something like that.
Yeah. So, fill in the blank. Does that sound like it works?
And do people feel
Yeah.
more apt to be like, oh, I'll tell you I'm between 10 years, rather than giving you my Is my neighbor reading this? Who's getting this data?
For question one.
But
Okay, so we'll keep resident, we'll have a fill in the blank for age. And we said both of those would be required, is everybody okay with that? Okay. And then we had the homeowner or renter question, which we said we could make optional.
Why do we want that, if you're a resident of the township?
Well, because,
you were saying, well, you were- go
yeah,
ahead.
we felt like there were some things like apartments might not see, like they don't see things in sewer bills, for example. Like there's maybe there's a short set, but,
And they won't let us put, I thought they wouldn't let you put things up in their lobbies. Like you're afraid they're not
Yeah.
getting information the way homeowners get information.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure they're not excluded because they're a renter. But then making it optional, they can decide if they want to share that. Is that right?
yeah. But what do we think about that? I mean, it sounds like, Karen, you're opening it up for discussion, like,
Yeah. I don't know, I guess I know you want to include everybody, but I think it's a little less inclusive.
less.
I do.
Okay. Yeah.
I do.
'Cause maybe people feel
Is
like-
that a different,
Like, are we gonna deprioritize renters? Like, is that what the message is sending?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why does it matter? I'm a resident.
Right. I
you
can
know,
see
It does
that.
seem a little personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people may have just sold their home and they went to rent because they don't want to do the maintenance anymore, but other people, maybe they can't afford the house and they're renting.
Right.
Like, to me, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I know they don't get sewer bills, but, sorry, Joanna, how many of us read all the stuff in our sewer bills? I don't, because I'm on automatic pay. I hardly even open the thing. I hardly open the bill. I open it to take the blue envelope out, to bring it back to Pat and put it in his thing for somebody else to use. Because I don't have to pay the bill. It's an automatic payment, so I don't really look at it.
But I guess, what is the value of it, that if we find a renter or a homeowner?
That's what I'm
I think
wondering.
there's something to that.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me. If you're a resident, you're a resident. That's how I feel. And I think it's
Yeah.
like less inclusive,
No, I
personally.
think it's good feedback.
Yeah.
I think one of the ways we came about this too was we were actually talked about when we were off doing our interviews, did we actually interview anybody who lived in apartments?
Right.
Like, did we include people at Pinnacle,
No.
Sussex,
Yeah.
Park,
Right.
That's how it would be included.
Place
Yes, that is
One?
how it came
I think we
yeah.
felt like we excluded, not intentionally, but like we didn't get to that group, and so they were like, oh, maybe we should make
There's
sure we get to them.
2,400 rental units in the township.
Right.
There are a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's sort of inherent that people that live in apartments probably have more tenuous connections to particularly the local, government, because they don't have as many needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about water and sewer.
Codes.
Yeah.
Building
True.
permits and stuff.
Right.
That's, yeah.
The grass is too tall. It's not their problem.
And if there's a problem with their neighbor, they
Yeah.
talk to the building manager, not to the township.
Yeah.
There's probably single-family homes that are rented though, too.
They're
Oh,
open,
yeah,
right?
sure.
So,
Yeah.
Sure.
Good
there are.
point.
But I guess it's, but you're saying that the goal is to find out how we get out information. They'll answer that on this side. So maybe it doesn't maybe it doesn't matter if you
Yeah.
own or not, because we're really more looking at how are you getting your information.
Yeah.
It's a church.
Can you hear that on the recording?
Yeah, right.
I was thinking the door was open, but.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, so are we leaning toward taking it out?
Karen makes a good point.
I would.
I
would. take it
I
out.
didn't
That's
think of
just
that
my-
before.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good question, but I can see there's a strong
Yeah, I
point
can
to
see.
not
We know
include.
why we're asking it, but they might not, somebody else probably.
Yeah, they might not.
Yeah, they might feel
Might
like,
put somebody off. Like
Yeah, I
it's,
could see it putting somebody
It
off.
doesn't matter as
Yeah.
much if you're a renter as a homeowner. That's how I.
yeah,
Especially if we know, because as a renter, you really don't pay tax.
taxes, so does
You're
your
doing
opinion
your
really
rent
matter?
bill.
Yeah.
You're doing your rent.
It's a good point. Like, our intention's just the opposite, but it could come across as, like, we're trying to exclude them as opposed
Right.
to we're trying to make sure they're included.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've X'd it out.
Okay.
Page 2.
There we go.
We're shortening this up.
It's good. It's good. Okay. One of the things we also tried to get to, top of page 2, was like, what do people want? Like, what kind of information are they seeking? What's important to them? If we think about what we want to do more of, we wanted to have a list. So this was most of what we talked about last week, which we tried to tighten into a short list. But we're open to, again, feedback about like what's here. Change it, add to it, delete from it. This is what we heard people
I have a
kind of say.
suggestion about
Please.
a little more general. It seems to me that if you're asking their opinion, and that's sort of then maybe this entire category should come before, should come first. What do you need, and then
And then where do you want to get it?
how do you currently get whatever it is?
And then that would flow into the push or pull.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
Is everybody good with that? So we'll bump that up. That becomes the first question after the demographics.
And you don't even need like an intro, right? Like you can still stick with what you have, which is nice and short, because quickly thereafter, they see the intent of the question.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Cool. Okay. How about what's on the list? What do we need to do there? We could add, delete, modify.
I think it'd be helpful to have examples of what the citizen boards are.
I thought about that, but I was like, does that make it too long? But maybe we do the branching thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could list updates from the citizen boards. If they say yes, then we could have them, it opens up to environmental advisory board, zoning hearing board, and then you could pick, tell us what you want to hear about. Everybody good with that? So we'll branch only if they choose it.
I couldn't hear. Well,
Sorry,
I wear hearing aids,
No.
so it's tricky now with
A
that.
lot of competition.
So what did you say?
Sonia was commenting that maybe under the township citizen boards, we actually list them. So if they check that, it goes to a branch, and then we could also see, oh, they want more from the environmental advisory board, the zoning hearing board, the human rights,
Because I didn't even know we
or
had
human
that.
relations.
The
Yeah.
agency.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
so we're good with that? Yeah, that's great. Because that also gives those boards, I think, an opportunity, like, you know, whatever, 100 people said they'd like to hear more from planning commission.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. What else?
The one for us, basically, can we just leave it at community events?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't.
Your opportunities.
Yeah, volunteer opportunities are tough just because
Yeah.
to get good volunteer opportunities, you need someone coordinating it, and it's
Yep.
tricky. And then as well as surrounding communities, meaning other townships.
Yes, that's what came out. It was some of the feedback, I think, that people wanted to know, like, oh, like, is it White Marsh Township Day, or is it the Arts Festival in
I
Conshohocken?
would just leave it a little general information regarding
Yep.
community events.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's actually a good point. If people know that they're going to get information, even if they're not, people from Plymouth and White Marsh should go to each other's
Yeah.
events. And if you have more of a one-stop sort of, place that, doesn't just
Yeah,
do Plymouth.
it's a little easier said than done.
That's what the
I mean,
patch
it
is for.
seems-
That's
yeah.
what the PW patch is for.
Yeah.
It seems hard for, the township or
For us to
Parks and
go
Rec to be
out to
aware
find
of
all
the
those
other
things
townships'
going on.
events all the
Yeah.
time.
No,
Yeah.
that's not our, I don't know that that's like our job.
So-
I mean, our job is to tell the community about our events.
I mean,
I think if I wanted to know something about White Marsh, I would go on their website. I would-
Yeah, or you
their
might
social
hear it from
media.
a
I wouldn't
neighbor.
go-
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to find that on the Plymouth website.
No, I get what
Yeah.
you're saying, but it's a lot of
It's hard keeping up with our own events.
I get it, yeah,
Okay.
to Ivory Tower.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so,
I had, oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, please.
I just had one person say they wanted like new businesses, commercial projects. I don't know if
you
that
know
falls
what?
into something.
Horsham Town, I live in Horsham Township, and they do new business highlights. And I'll tell you what, I read every single one of them.
Really?
I do. Yeah, that's
Let's add it.
We could
Yeah.
get that from our code enforcement department when they issue a new use and occupancy, and all new businesses get a new occupancy license. So,
Mhm.
you know, it could be something.
You could then put the
to
onus back
highlight.
on the business owner to write something
Yes.
for us to put out.
If they want,
Right.
if they want to
Yeah.
share it.
Right.
And it would
Right.
behoove
It would
them.
benefit them,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
But
sure.
put it on them to give us the
Yes.
information to send out.
They would be happy to
That's a
post
good
it,
idea.
like,
Yeah,
grand
that's a
opening
really
type
good
stuff,
idea.
Just
Yeah.
for a limited time, yeah.
Yeah. I read that in our township newsletter every time.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so we've got information regarding community events and new business opportunities, updates on commercial happenings, separate event, separate item. Do we want to do anything with the volunteer opportunities? Like, not have anything?
I'm not here.
It's, well.
Yeah.
I was
Well, I'm
gonna say-
thinking like even our citizen boards or
Right.
volunteer
That-
opportunities.
Yeah, if they are, you're right.
Sometimes you get the children that are really unsupervised. I'm just, no, you're asking, this is what,
Yeah, yeah.
this is what we deal with, you know? Kids that
Yeah.
are too young to work, but mom or dad's like, go volunteer and do something. you know?
Right.
And it's a liability, it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
And and it usually doesn't, you know, work out so well. No.
But, I mean, the volunteer board
Sign
is
off,
different
Mhm.
than, say, community service. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, we could spell out the board positions.
but that would be more
that could be
if
under
somebody wants
updates.
Yeah,
information
true.
about the citizens
Yeah.
board.
True.
That
We
kind of
could have-
falls
oh,
in there.
Yeah.
We could put openings,
True.
or opening
Yeah.
list on that.
Yep.
Right, we have
Absolutely.
a vacancy list every month, read it, but. we could put
And we
it
still
there.
have the other where they could
Yes,
fill
type
in
Yep.
if they
Anything.
really wanted these volunteer opportunities.
Cool. Okay. Got it. So volunteers gone, surrounding communities gone. Okay.
New business.
New business added. All right. What else from the existing list? Any other tweaks, modifications, additions, deletions?
So for road closures and road safety issues, could we just link that to, say, the Montgomery County and the PennDOT links, so that, I mean, we could do it for our streets, but
Mm.
we don't know what's happening when
Right.
Pico got a permit to dig up Johnson Road. We wouldn't even know that.
Yeah.
So maybe, would that be all right to put a link in? Because otherwise, somebody would have to sit every day and search the county and the
Yeah.
and the state websites, PennDOT, to figure out where, and if they issue a road permit for an opening, that the company might not come along for,
Yeah.
3 more days or 10 more days or a month, whatever. We just don't know that information. And we have a good number of state and county roads in Plymouth. A lot of townships don't, but we do. I mean, do you think that would be all right if we linked it to the county and the PennDOT websites for road closures?
I think.
Are you talking about in the final product or in the survey?
Well, in the survey, so somebody wants to know about, in the final product.
Okay.
Like if we
Yeah,
were to
if
send them a
if-
message
yeah.
about road closures, we'd tell them the ones that we knew about and link to
The others.
the
like
county
the
or whatever,
or
the
PennDOT.
state. Yeah.
Mhm.
Here's where you can find the others.
Yeah, I see. Maybe in the final.
Right.
Yeah.
in the
Not
final-
necessarily on the survey.
Maybe not on the survey.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we're
That makes
finding,
sense.
if there's like
Yeah.
1,000 people that want to know about road closures, then we probably do need to put a link.
Right, figure out how to do
Yeah.
that.
Right. If there's only like 2 people that want to know, but I don't think so. We think we had that
I
was
know
like
that
a
one was
Yeah.
a big one. I know.
But we're
Well,
just trying
Rich
to
Pike
put it
is
Road.
closed basically forever. So.
Yeah, Ridge Pike is a parking lot, and Plymouth Road is closed. Well,
Let's put that out there now.
over and over, yeah. Over and over. Yeah,
Another single.
Cool.
a lot of sinkholes.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think if it came to like a text alert, like we could do that for township roads that we know about, and if we happen to know of something else, it could come out in a text alert. But I don't think that, to your point, obligates us to comment about every county or state road
Only within our township.
in our township. Yeah.
But
I mean, if we know about it, we'll tell them, and we could link to it if they want to go hunt it down. But we could tell them about anything that happens happening on a township road that we know about.
Right.
And if we happen to know something else, we'll push that out too. That seems fair.
I agree.
Cool. All right. What else on that list?
Are we on the second one now?
Oh, we could be.
Or are we on this? Or,
I was just looking at the top still to see if there's any other feedback about what's on the list. Anything else missing?
someone said in mine like shredding, but that's kind of hazardous waste, things like that.
Oh, yeah, like
Oh,
that.
accidents. Township events, road
Under how
closures.
much trash, is it, do you mean shredding under trash?
Like, do you mean like
No,
special
like-
events, like when there's
Yeah.
somebody's
Or
got a
is
shredding
that-
I don't
event?
know if we have to
or-
be
Is
that
that
picky and
considered
stuff
a
like this.
community
I don't know if we
event,
need to be
though?
that picky in here. I'm just looking
Yeah.
back at the
Yeah,
notes
yeah.
from what people wanted.
Yeah, a lot of them are politicians,
Mhm.
right? Or
Mhm.
Yes.
Police does
Local.
one.
Yeah, the police.
The county's doing that hazard waste one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of would lump it under community event.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
think too. Yeah.
Is it monthly meeting agendas? Is that township, Plymouth Township Council? Is that what they mean? Is that? is
Yeah,
that
I
mean
guess
that-
that's the
okay, so
habit.
that's-
Yeah.
Efforts regarding pedestrian and bicycle safety improvements.
Hmm.
Is another one.
Could we put that under public safety?
I feel like that would fall into an other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like somebody who really wanted that information would just type that in.
Yeah. Emergency alerts, but that might,
So
is that
back
gonna
to
be?
the road closures, you could add township road closures.
True.
If-
True.
if we
yeah.
wanted to-
Most people don't know.
No, most people don't know.
You're right. They don't.
100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know. But
but-
at
but
least
most
we
people don't.
specified.
Right.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Yeah, we didn't ask and then like, oh, we can't tell you about every road. We said township road closures. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
And there really aren't too many township road closures. They're the residential streets. The ones we own are the residential streets, for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, we might know if Aqua or Pico or somebody's digging
Yeah,
up
right.
a township road. But I just don't know that most people know which ones are which.
You don't even know what township they live in.
Plymouth Meeting Township, yes. Plymouth Meeting Township.
All right. Anything else then on the top of this list? Cool. Okay. So then we thought the next question could be, if you're interested in this information, like which of these things do you want to opt into, like we push to you, versus where do you just want to go find it? Like you know that there's it's easy, I can go find it when I want it, but you're not going to push anything at me. Is that the right question to ask next?
Yes, and maybe it's just me, but I get angst over the push terminology. I get angst and like, I don't know, it's not natural, right? So, I'd like if it just said, I'll opt in and you send me, you send me an update.
Done.
Send me updates or I'll go look for them. And make it easy. For some people, that's not easier, but,
Yeah.
but yes.
Yeah, 'cause
Send
you say,
it
"I'll
to me,
find it when I
I'll
need
find
it."
it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll find it when I need it.
Okay. Okay, so we'll change
'Cause
push
it
to
might-
send.
yeah, just so like,
Yeah.
like both of them, so they're just real brief, right?
Yep. Got it.
And these mimic the questions, the options
Above.
above.
Yes.
That's good.
I tried to skinny them down by the time we got to the bottom,
It's gonna be cutting.
but we'll
out
make
all
them
the
match anything we've
activities.
added or modified.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good with the opt-in question?
Did you want, but it says community events and volunteer opportunities. We took volunteer
Oh,
opportunities
yeah.
off up here.
Yeah, so we'll.
Just do community events
Well,
or,
so I guess like I feel like it. If the intent was to know if people want to know about volunteer opportunities, I think it still fits in here. Whereas above, it was linking it to GPCC. So if we know that people want to know about volunteer opportunities, then we would share, you know, maybe the citizen boards would share more about the openings, like, you know, other community organizations would utilize the township to share about their volunteer opportunities. So I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same as in the question above. I feel like in the question above, it was really connecting it to volunteering at GPCC. But I like it in the bottom where we can still find out if people want to know about volunteer opportunities.
Thoughts?
Okay, so volunteer opportunities, okay, in the sense of maybe volunteering for a citizen board or planting a tree when they're planting trees. to tree down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus the kind of volunteers
Yeah.
that Joanna has to, you know, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
figure out.
Babysit.
Babysit, there you go.
Yes.
Yes, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So what if we said township to that point? Township volunteer opportunity, township connected or related volunteer
And
opportunity.
if you wanted to
Yeah.
mirror it, I mean, you could add it to the top and then
Mhm.
add it at the bottom. Because it makes sense to me that it's completely mirrored.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
that these two
Yeah.
questions are definitely connected.
Mhm. Okay, so if we add it to the top,
Yes, that's a good point.
so township volunteer opportunities, and it would be things like tree planting, citizen boards.
Would it make sense to have these two columns of, you know, send it to me or I'll find it, just next to what I'm interested in? Because it's like repeating the same set of things. I just, you know what I mean?
see what
Just
you're
like
saying. I
two
can
sets
picture
of, two
that.
sets of boxes, like,
Mhm.
send me this or I'll find it, send me, I'll find.
I don't know
Just
how
the
to
two.
do that.
I was gonna
'Cause
say,
then
I
you-
don't
Yeah, I don't know,
I don't know how to
technically
do
speaking.
that
Yeah.
on Google Forms.
Okay, maybe that's too much.
I like your thinking, I just am not,
like
yeah.
not
Picture
repeating
it.
it.
So it's like the sentence, like what it is, and then you leave it blank if you're not interested in it, or you pick opt in or I'll find it.
Third column, not interested.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then, yeah. not
yes, I think it should
something.
always be a not.
Yeah.
Doesn't-
So the top, in a way, the top goes away, and the bottom just becomes, what are you interested in, how do you want to get it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a
really
good
good.
That's a good idea.
So not interested becomes a third column.
Yeah.
Right.
Brilliant.
I just don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Did you say?
I don't know how to do that.
Well,
I think
Well,
we could do
we'd
it, I
have
think we could set up a,
Oh, well, you set up two columns,
Have
so
to
we
have
have to be able
I was gonna
to.
set up
Third.
three, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
tweak the opening question and set up a third column.
Good.
Because otherwise, you just, it's the same
Yeah, that's a good idea.
category.
Yeah, it might be, make it a little, you know,
Condensed, like,
yeah, it will,
Yep, I like that.
this would stretch out, but it would take up less space. I think.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
less questions.
Yep.
Yeah, less
and
questions.
same
Always
repeating,
good.
it's like
Yes.
repeating it. I already
Yeah.
said I'm interested.
Yes.
At the same time, you could say whether to send it to me or I'll get it myself.
That's
So,
a good
so that brings up the question, do you still want to put that first, that whole section, or this, you know, what do you currently use?
Oh, good question.
The logic of the thing is
Yeah.
changing.
Sorry if I changed it around.
No, I think that's a better idea, what you suggested.
Yeah, so good question, Al. What do you
I don't know,
all think about
I'm
that?
not sure.
I
I think
still-
put this first because it's shorter. I think this might be, oh, there were, you're gonna drop
We're gonna
down,
make
it won't
this
look
much
as.
shorter.
Yeah.
We're gonna branch that up, yeah.
Yeah, actually, it still makes sense to put this first, because now you can say something like, if you, yeah, you could relate it, like, if you like, where do you currently look? Where, when you need to find things, so, you know, repeating the find it when I need it, sort of idea. Repeat it as in this question.
Yep,
I think it still makes sense to go this
Okay.
first and then this.
yeah. Okay, so this will still come first, and then the channels piece comes next. Okay.
So that brings up another question, in that we sort of combine two ideas here. One is, what's important to you and how do you want to be informed? Maybe we could do something similar, like, slightly different, like, what do you currently use and what do you feel you might use more? Something, I don't know.
I see what you're saying, though. Like, kind of get a twofer out of this list.
Yeah, sort of like with these multiple, yes. I don't know. Then it,
What if we used that, what if we rolled up the, what kind of like it works well and it doesn't question? So you look at this today, it meets your needs or it doesn't, and then below you could say more. Does that help or no?
Which question are you on?
The
channels?
The channels question, yeah. Because I was saying maybe we can kind of get a twofer. If we're asking this, could we also ask them the same way we did with this other one, like, what do you use? And over here, to the right, tell us something else.
yeah, but what's just something else?
Yeah, what's the something else we
Isn't
need
that
if
what
they're
you
going to
have
answer
here?
those
I know.
questions?
Here, what else can we do to meet the needs? No.
Yeah.
What else can we do? But now I'm thinking, now that we have this after, you have, if this is one, this goes with it.
The
And
opt-in.
this, my thinking maybe this should be one, because you have this, and then there's a follow-up to that.
There's the follow-up opt-in question. Yeah.
And then at the end, so maybe this should go first.
Especially if it's short, it could.
And maybe people are thinking like, oh wow, I didn't know they had a website, or I didn't know they had, whatever, a Twitter. Like you said, I didn't know you had Twitter.
Mhm.
So maybe this
Oh,
kind
it's
of,
GPCC, by the way.
Thank you.
So what about reorganizing this a little bit and sort of like official websites, other websites, official communications, and then have emails and brochures and things and other things that aren't websites, social media, kind of boil it down to like 4 categories.
Mhm.
You know, other communications would include the sewer bill.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, so the branching would be websites, social media, other.
Other communications, yeah, outside communications, maybe like patch and other neighbors and residents.
Okay. Yeah, that would help shorten that up so that you'd only, again, it only opens up to the branch if you say yes to it.
Right.
So
Yeah, somebody, maybe they, you know, if you're on your phone all the time and you never use a browser, you might never go to a website.
Yeah.
Unless you, maybe if you really needed to, but you might not. Might not have done it.
Yeah, okay, so we can do that, we can try tightening this up into like 4 major headers, 3 or 4, whatever it is, major headers, might be 3.
Yeah, like digital signs would be other, you know, official communications.
but I'm thinking maybe now that goes first.
Yeah.
'Cause this is that follow-up.
Yeah, yeah, so if you flip to the very back page,
Yeah.
there's that follow-up opt-in question, which kind of has to go with the previous opt-in question. I like that. I like what you're suggesting, Becky. What do you all think about that? So now the channel stays first, so that way it's short, it's more
If it's shorter,
consolidated.
yeah. If we shorten it, I think that works.
Yeah, so that's 1,
It's not that big a deal,
yeah.
which one's first.
And then the other one becomes 2, that's bundled together. Then we ask the opt-in question. So if you do opt in, what do you want? Text, email, phone call? And I don't know if there's anything else that belongs on that
Is that one?
list.
Does that one allow you to pick multiple fields?
That's a good idea.
I think so. I think
Check
the,
all that. Maybe just specify
the
in the
checkboxes-
header that like check all that as well.
Yeah, I think the checkboxes.
Yeah, the checkboxes always give you the option.
Multiple.
Yeah.
Check all.
But they might not know that just
Yep,
by.
So we'll say that. Check
And then
all
maybe just
slide.
change the phone call. Is that what? I've never heard of a robo phone call.
We get them from,
We get
like,
them.
even weather alerts.
Mhm.
It's like a,
What is
I'll
it?
get like an automatic call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a phone call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to say phone call like Karen's not personally going to
Yeah.
call you. Like, hi Brandon, it's me, Karen. Just wanted to let you know there's a road closure. I don't go on Ridge today.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Mask.
Yeah.
You know what they are.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah, I just never heard of robo.
Now they're called spam.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
phone tells you it's.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Well, we know which age group is not going to pick robophone.
So, I mean, we could just say phone call, or is there some other terminology that makes more sense?
Like automated phone call.
Yeah. Automated.
I've never heard of a robo.
Yeah.
It's like a robot. It's like a,
Like a
robot.
robot.
So
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
it can make 1,000 calls a minute or 4,000 calls a minute. It's
That was
yeah.
I
pretty
think maybe
AI.
automated phone call.
Automated it
It's
is.
Like jive a
generational.
little bit
If
better.
it's just generational, not knowing or ever having heard that word.
Yeah.
Automated. We could use
Well,
automated phone
but,
call.
I mean,
Automated.
Is
we're
this-
talking about automated texts and automated emails too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
why not just put phone call?
Well, we could, unless they think they're
I
going to
think
get a
people-
First
person
of it, I'll
it.
get parent calling.
They might be scared.
Um,
Get a personal phone call.
It might also be good to say, I'd rather not be contacted, as an option.
Yeah, but this
But
is
this
if
is
you've
if you
opted
opt
in.
in.
Yeah, I
This is-
know,
But if you opt in, there's no other way for us to get to you.
And this is just, we're not giving your email, you're not giving your phone number yet. Like, this is
Right.
just us to decide if.
Yeah, so if you opt in, you have to tell us, like,
How do you understand?
When,
Yeah,
when
so
you
you
get to
want-
that,
yeah.
not the survey, but when we
Yeah,
get to that
right.
point. Yeah, you
People
only
might
give your
say,
phone number
I
if you want to
want-
give your phone number.
Like, I
You
might
don't-
want
you
to
don't
text
get
for
business.
something, but an email for something else. Like,
Yeah.
True.
later,
Yeah.
when you get into it, I think it'd be too much to add, and now you're adding a third column here, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But I might say, I want, like, whether I want a text, because I want that
Yeah,
right away.
right away. That's a good
But
point.
maybe like, I don't know, my trash pickup could be an email. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, you're
Yeah,
right
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Some
you're
things
right
are more
about that.
urgent.
Maybe it depends on the type of information
Mhm.
would be a valid.
And when we get to the website itself, maybe you can choose.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
for this I want a text, for that I want an email.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of
But
sites
we don't
do
have,
it.
like, this is
Yeah.
just a survey of how you like to get
This will
stuff.
just let us know.
You know, you probably could, you could check both for
Do
the
we-
I
survey.
think you'll put
Maybe
check
we-
all that apply.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
because you might change your mind for different things.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people say email gets buried, they get too many per day.
Yeah.
But text is,
Right.
I'll see every day, I'll see all my, it could be someday you don't watch the text and you're back to something else, but.
Also, this might be nitpicky, but maybe I feel like it's a little redundant to have when I opt in, I prefer A, because the question itself
Mhm.
is the same. Might be
Uh,
it may just be a little
The question
redundant.
you
Yeah.
will naturally select.
Oh, I see what you're saying,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that I prefer to,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
I would like to
Yeah,
receive
you don't
them.
need that check.
Yep.
Yeah, if you just, that's a good point. If you don't want to be contacted, you just don't check anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, if you don't want to be, if you're not opting into any of it, I'll just go find all my stuff when I want it, then you wouldn't answer that at all.
Yeah.
Now, if you just leave it blank, it's not going to let you submit it because it's a
Yeah, it's a
required.
required.
So we'll just take the required out, make it an option.
Yeah, so that brings up a good question about requiring any of it. I mean, do we want to require any of the responses? I mean, people are funny about things.
I think the only one that would really be important is the resident, the first one, and the second one.
I worry about people
Absolutely.
like missing a question. and
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
knowing
right,
what
and then
it
you're
is.
missing out on data
Yeah, that's what I would worry about too.
Yeah,
because it won't let you submit it at the end if you're
Um,
missing a required question.
But you're only taking it if you want to take it. The whole
Yeah.
thing is optional.
Right.
Right,
yeah.
the whole thing is
Yeah,
optional.
the whole
And
thing
we're
is
trying to
optional.
keep it very short, so I
Right.
don't think it's like so long that people are gonna be like, forget it, I'm
Yes.
not doing this anymore,
Pages.
you know?
Yeah.
Will there still be an option for a paper?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I had people that will not go online. And
Yep.
This is the only way that they'll respond. And
No,
I'll go
that's-
to them and give it to them. if I
Yep.
have to,
Yeah.
but they will never go online.
No, that's fair. So let's go there, let's go there next. Let's see if we can wrap this up, and then we'll talk about that, like how we're gonna get this out. Okay, so we're gonna lighten up the opt-in question by taking out that sentence stem
Yeah.
and change automated, and then there's a final just open-ended question, like, what else? Like, is there anything else?
This might open up a can of worms, but do we want to ask, like, for people to, now, I don't want to say, like, give us their contact information, but say we wanted to dive deeper into this with certain people if they were willing. But again, that could open up a can of worms where, like, 200 people are like, I want to give more input, and then we have to interview
Yeah, right.
everybody. So, I just wanted to throw it out
Or if you
there.
say questions and concerns, please send an email to
Yeah, that's usually
email or
fine.
call.
Plymouth
or
at
call.
PlymouthTownship.org.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We have
Something like
generic
that.
boxes that get looked at every day, but it's not anybody in particular's email.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we could add that.
You could also say, is there anything else you would like to share?
Mhm.
And then some folks will just go on and on.
Everything. and
This is
anything.
true. Some people have a lot to say.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They might type it all, they might be
Yeah.
like, and matter of fact,
Yes.
call me. Or they might get out and call themselves, right?
All right. Cool. What else? Feeling good?
Good job.
Well done, team.
So much. This is really nice.
No, this is great. So let's go to the place Sandy was taking us, which is how are we getting this out to people? So we had talked about a few different things. We talked about QR codes and links and paper, but we really need to kind of have probably more of a firmed up plan for like the distribution, just so we could start thinking ahead. So it sounds like in terms of distribution, we better have paper. That paper's a must.
Yes.
Yep.
I would also totally volunteer to input the paper ones when we get them into the electronic form. If that helps us then be able to read the data, you know? Because if it's not eventually in the form, it'd be hard to analyze the data, I feel like.
Yeah. And the same would be true for, I think we had also said we would interview people. If someone wants to just talk to us, like we'll talk them through it, which we could probably do the same. You talk
Yeah.
to me, I put it on the form, we input it.
Exactly.
So same
Yeah.
kind of gig. Where should the paper be? Like where are we going to have these copies?
The community center.
I think the
is a
community center
focal
is a great
point,
idea.
I think, that needs
People
to be
swim
looked at.
here
What do you
every
think?
day.
Yeah, I definitely think that there
Yeah.
are people who will pick that up and use it and bring it back or do it right there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where else? Township building?
Sure, you can put them there. We don't have too many visitors yet, but we'll do it soon.
But soon they'll be storming
People are
the building
catching
because it's so
on.
beautiful and they want to see
I
it.
should correct myself. We're not open yet, are we?
Not technically.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't guarantee air conditioning, but Rick and I, the rest of the council members, two can hear it for the other three. But Rick and I decided, like, August meetings, because we have to advertise it in the
Sure.
newspapers and
Yeah.
at the council meetings and all the board meetings to say, we'll move the meetings back in August. August 1, all meetings in August will be at the township building.
Yep.
I can't guarantee air conditioning, can't guarantee site lighting, and the steps out front still need to be fixed. But other than that,
On a personal note, I'm just a tiny
But
little
yeah.
bit sad because that'll be the
I know.
only meeting this
Are you
entire
missing?
year that I'm missing.
Oh, really?
Well, we'll have the workshop there too, but.
I know.
Well, you've already
I'll be back
waited
for
2
that.
years, so.
In 6 months.
Poor Chris, he's the one who wanted his last meeting in July.
Well, 2 years.
It's
and
all right.
months For a 16-month project.
No, it's all good. I'm
It
teasing.
is. It is.
So we'll say at the township
Yeah.
building, as soon as the
Yeah,
township building is
yes.
really like more open and
It's-
accessible.
It's,
we'll-
right,
we'll
it's, I mean,
time
it is open, the code people are back in, so people are coming in if they need a building permit.
Yeah.
And all that, and then the police, of course, have been there the whole time, so the police department's open.
Mhm.
They're still on our side, but they're actually moving into their offices like this week,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
detectives and they're pretty much back, right?
Say
All back?
75%.
Huh?
I think overall 75% of the
75% are
department.
back
Yeah.
this week, right? Mostly this week coming
Yep.
back.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been using squad room and roll call for a little bit. But,
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
but
so-
we're going to pull that. We'll just make it August. We'll make it August.
That's awesome.
And hope we have all the things we need by then.
Cool. All right, so paper we've got here, paper at the township building. Is there anywhere else we could have copies, for each of us as we're talking to people if we want to do quick interviews? Any place else paper should go? Like we had talked about, like, do we want to have a pinnacle event where we go somewhere where people maybe would do it on paper but not go online?
We can easily get them to Pinnacle.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else that has to happen with paper?
Are there any other township events coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we can have them at all township events, or the QR code.
Mhm.
Yes, plenty. I'm just trying to think of places to put them. Like, if we had a library, like that would make
Yeah.
sense. But I
Yeah.
can't think of any other location.
Do you have a booth at the mall? Do you have anything at the mall?
And we could put them on the bulletin boards in the parks, the QR code.
Mm-hmm.
What about schools?
Just don't now do it. Yeah.
They won't do it. There's no
No.
more family envelopes, right? No more packets. But I think probably the younger family, the kids, the families with younger kids anyway are going to be online
Yeah.
versus needing paper. Correct.
Mhm. Okay. Well, we could always add to the list, but that sounds like a good place to start with
Yeah.
paper. Then we said we wanted to have a QR code available that people could scan. And/or I guess just a link to the survey could be available. So if we, take sort of one step away, like if I just want to click the link and go, not do it on my phone with a QR code. I personally hate doing things on my phone. I would rather go on my laptop, get the link,
Yeah.
and sit there with my nice big keyboard than do this. That's just me. So I'd say a QR code and a link.
How do you, get the link? How would you get the link?
Well, that's a good question. So I think with both
That
the
would be
QR
like
code and the link.
Electronic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to find places to put it so that
if you
people
scan
can.
a QR code, then later you can go back to your computer and
No.
do the link?
If I did, but I would only do a QR code like if I was at an event, and I probably would do it right then though, because I'm the kind of person that would forget to do it at all if I didn't do it immediately.
But if we were on social media, for example, like let's just say on our Facebook page, we put the link, somebody who's on their laptop
Yes.
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 could click and
You
What
don't
do you
want to
imagine?
put a QR code on anything digital because
Right.
9
Yeah.
times out of 10, they're going to be looking at a QR code on their phone, and you can't scan a
Yeah,
QR code on
it's-
your phone. with your
Exactly.
phone. So, like, a QR code would be posted somewhere.
And you could do
Yes.
tell us how we're doing.
It's more
and
like in
put it up on
person.
the wall or something.
Yeah.
But a link you would put in social media or on the website or
Yeah.
in your
So it's
digital
easy to
stuff.
share.
In an email.
Or on the township website.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we do with big items, we usually put right in the middle of our website, like big buttons. So we'd probably do the same thing for this. I would say it would stay up there for a while.
The
Right, you know how we
buttons in
have the
beginning,
buttons
the
up there?
5 buttons, yeah.
Put pertinent
Oh,
information
yeah,
up
all
there.
right on the first page.
Yeah. So we'd probably put this up there, and then I also was thinking about the fall issue of the newsletter. We could designate a whole page to this initiative. Provide them a
Could be
link
the
and a
cover.
QR code.
Could be the cover.
It could be the cover.
Mm.
The cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You have it.
yeah, exactly. Right. So that, and then just blast the link out on all the social media, and you can always pin posts as well to make it kind of glue it to the
Stay.
top of the,
Yeah,
stay at
the
the
screen,
top.
so that
That's a good idea.
other news doesn't wipe it out.
Take over.
So there's a lot of options there.
In the newsletter, could you put this?
Put
Is
the
that
actual
too
story.
much to put in the newsletter?
Because
We
sewer
don't mail
bill, you
newsletters
mean?
anymore.
Like in the sewer bill, that newsletter?
I'm thinking of the GP, your booklet, where you have all the list of all the classes.
You don't mail.
Yeah, we
anything.
don't mail that either.
Everything's gone paperless.
And so you only
All our
pick that up
communications are
here.
paperless now. They've
Okay.
been for,
But
No,
we
alright.
can still send an email with a link.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, but the township newsletter, can you put a link in that?
Yeah, because it's,
A live link?
yeah, you put hyperlink in.
Can you put it in the sewer bill, or is it too much?
We can put like a notice, or we can put the QR code.
Yeah.
in
The
the
QR
sewer.
code
Yeah.
would be.
But for like the residents
yes,
that,
could be printed.
we're still trying to hit residents that don't have
Who don't want to use
social
it.
media.
Yeah.
You know what
we
the
can do
irony
it.
is? Like, getting this survey out is the exact reason, like, we're
Yes.
doing all of this, right? Like,
Right.
right? I mean, there's a communication challenge, which is also a challenge for getting the survey out the door.
Right. Yeah.
Like, there's kind of,
Very ironic. Is that irony?
yeah.
Or is that just?
Hmm.
Well, we can put the QR codes, like I can put them in the parks on the bulletin boards,
Mhm.
the sewer bills.
Can you put something like on those signs we talked about earlier, like go to the website and, I don't know, where your opinion matters?
On the digital side?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Something like,
I mean, you won't have a QR code or a link.
No,
It'll
but it would just
be
like get them to go
see
to the website.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
go-
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just
Just
something.
alerting people to the
Go
fact
look.
that this exists.
It could be on a piece of
I have a question. Are we
Yes.
concerned that
That's
people
one.
might end up doing
Right,
this
in
more
like
than
a
one
frame.
time?
Something like, take a picture of it.
We
People
can,
going
on
up to the
Google, we
electronic
can limit
website.
so that, like, your device can only do it once.
Oh, really?
I assume the same is true with.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Forms,
What's that?
like limiting the number of times somebody can complete the survey. Like, I know on Google you can, like, your device can only,
I mean, I don't think that many
Submit
people
once.
would want to do
No,
it
I
that many
can't.
times.
They're not winning a prize.
Yeah.
Vote for your favorite teacher
Right.
or something.
Right,
I
right.
keep telling him about road closures,
Oh,
road closures.
Really?
Oh,
Would
gosh.
vote like 10 times for
Yes, I had to like go through and only count each email one
Oh, my
time.
goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
For like the light
But
contest.
that's
for
voting,
the
like,
Halloween.
that's a little different.
Yeah, I don't think people
Yeah.
take, you know, I'll show them, I'll say, you know, push it to me this time and pull it through next time. I don't think people take it more than once.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could really use like all of the mediums that are currently available to us. It actually might be interesting to know how many surveys come from each of those places. I don't know if would we be able to know that?
Put it on here.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest too.
How did you hear about this survey or something? I think that's the only.
Where
Or
you,
where did
where,
you take the
yeah.
survey?
Yeah, I think that's the only real good way of doing it
Yeah.
without.
How do you ask that question? How did you arrive here? Like, how did you arrive here?
That's deep. Yeah, it's really deep.
Very philosophical.
There could be a lot of answers to that one.
Where did you find this survey?
Yeah.
We're,
We might have to work on the how we word it. I think that would be the best way to get.
actually, that's not a
responsive
bad
to
way
check.
How did you hear about this?
of getting where people actually use,
Yeah.
you know?
It's kind of like the meta level question.
Yeah, right. If you ask, where did you hear about this survey? And they say, the Plymouth Township website, but they didn't check it off on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, now we know they weren't
Right.
really.
Yeah.
They might have, it's more important what they actually do than what they say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So
Where
we,
Yeah, like
Find-
even
where'd
just
you find
that
the
that
survey?
result
Yeah.
can tell you a lot
Yeah.
about.
Survey.
yeah.
How did you get here?
Yeah, you're
Cool.
right.
All right, add it to the list.
I don't know positioning like where we put that.
Yeah, I was gonna answer that
Yeah.
too.
So actually, it's what
At
they
the end.
say they do rather than what they say they do.
Yeah, that will be interesting. Okay, cool. Anything else we should talk about in terms of like distribution? I mean, it sounds like between a QR code and a link, we can cover all the digital places, we can cover physical spaces, and paper gives us the, you know, get the hard copy in people's hands option. Feel good about this?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, we have not a lot of time, 11 minutes, to talk about if we want to do any of these other deep dives. So my thought was, while all this magic is happening behind the scenes, so we'll work on Brandon, I will try to like clean this up and then hand it to you so that maybe if you said you wouldn't mind doing some research about like getting this into a Microsoft form.
Right. When we get our hands on, well, I'm going to definitely look before we can get it. I want to make sure it's possible.
Okay.
So if it's not, I can let you know.
Okay.
But if it then once it's in our hands and we can access the program or whatever it is, then I can start experimenting with it and seeing how we can get all this stuff injected into there.
Okay.
And there might be surprises. We might find that we can do even more.
Yeah.
So,
So while you're doing that, I'll try and clean up everything we talked about tonight and push it back out so that everybody can take one last look at everything that we said in the order we said it would go in, where we made changes, additions, deletions, one final look. And then it sounds like we've got maybe a couple of weeks to wait, 2 or 3, right?
That's what I'm
Ish.
hearing. That's what
yeah,
I'm
I would
hearing.
say.
So we'll have
I would say a
access to
month
that.
would be safe, somewhere within.
If you wanted
3
to
to 4
put out
weeks.
paper copies before digital was ready, you
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I'll clean this up, put it back in everybody's hands. Everybody finally gives a final thumbs up or makes final modifications. Meanwhile, Brandon is working feverishly to get our Microsoft Forms version of this ready to roll. And then if we can push out paper first, we will. Digital to follow. Cool. And then in the meantime, we can also be, I guess, thinking more about all of the things we discussed in terms of QR codes and links and anywhere we might want to post it and just any other options. Anything last on any of that? Are we good? Cool. So the next thing was deep dives. And while all of this is happening, my thought was we could each be doing some deep dives on, like we said, some of our own township channels and or other municipalities. Like we can just go look at what other people are doing and see if we come up with some really cool ideas, if we can gather some additional information. So if we looked at, whoever we want, I mean, Conshohocken, White Marsh, Abington, Upper Dublin, we could look anywhere. I would probably try and look at municipalities that sort of mirror us in some way versus, for example, looking at Philadelphia. But I think we can look at anyone we want. And like I said, just poke around their websites. I mean, if there's ways, like I know with White Marsh, for example, like you can opt in. Like I've said on the White Marsh site, like send me, I want to see your Board of Supervisors agendas. I want to see when anything's happening from your Environmental Advisory Board. Like they just push stuff out to me. So I can kind of see some of the things they're pushing out as well. Do we want to do that? Do we want to all just grab a municipality or two and just go poke around? Whatever we learn, we learn. Like there's no, you've got to do a certain list of things. Like let's just poke around and see what we find. Is that reasonable enough just to say go look?
Yeah.
All right, just so we're not tripping over like all of us tackling White Marsh and Conshohocken, do we want to just pick one? Like just pick one right now and we'll make sure that we're not being repetitive?
I'll look at
Upper Dublin.
Upper Dublin.
My mom lives there, and I should probably figure out.
No,
what's going
Becky
on.
just said Upper Dublin.
Oh, we could both do it because I don't have any social media, so I would only be able to look at their website. But
Okay. So Sandy, you want to look at Upper Dublin as well?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so we've got 2 for Upper Dublin. I've already been poking around White Marsh, so if that's okay, I'll just stick with White Marsh.
I've already started poking around Lower Gwynedd.
Lower Gwynedd, it's yours.
I'll do Lower Gwynedd as well.
It's a good one.
Lower Gwynedd.
I'll take Upper Marion.
Upper Marion, I like that. Okay.
I'll do Horsham.
Nice.
Well, I feel like somebody should do Lower Marion or Upper Marion.
Karen's doing
If you,
Karen's got Upper Marion.
Oh, okay.
Upper, but if you want lower, I can do lower.
I'll look at lower.
You can-
All right.
Cool, thank you, Al.
And I'm going to do Lower Makefield.
Lower Marion, I'm sorry, Brandon.
Lower Makefield Township.
Mayfield, excellent.
That's where I live. Maybe I'll learn a little something about my township.
Scour the website.
I know more about this township than my own.
Upper Bucks. Is that Upper Bucks?
Yes, it's Upper Bucks.
Lynn, can you send that out to us too, like who's doing what?
Yes.
And then like if maybe we can connect and be like, oh, we're both looking.
Look at the website.
Or
Yes.
if we want to pursue a different one, then we know it's already being.
Yeah, I'll clean that up and send it out to everyone.
Should we tell the people who aren't here
Let's-
to look at them or give them some choices or something?
I say they don't get choices. We just give them
Yeah.
one. No, I'm just kidding.
Somebody could take Montgomery Township, it's very similar to us.
Yeah.
There's a good one. Montgomery.
Yeah.
He already got up at, Springfield is another one.
Yeah.
Locally enough,
Abington has a nice website.
Abington.
So, I mean, all kidding aside, do you think it's reasonable? We have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 people who aren't here tonight. If we just said, like, hey, Chris, would you mind looking at Montgomery?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Mind if you did that to me,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Lower
Yeah.
Providence and Lower Providence.
Lower
Theirs
Providence.
is the same.
Okay, so that's 4. Montgomery, Springfield, Abington.
What about somewhere else like Delaware County?
Yeah.
Sure.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
I mean, I don't see why not.
Radnor,
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, I wouldn't mind
Radnor.
doing a couple or.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, I'll add Radnor to your list. Now, thank you.
I'll pick something in the box.
Okay. And if anyone else wants to think about doing a second one, once I send this out, you can just reply to the group and say, I also took whatever, Berwyn, or whatever you grabbed. Cool. And then, does it make sense for us to do any deeper dives on our own communication channels? Like, would it be helpful to go on our Facebook page? And like I said, just look at, like, what did people react to? Where did they comment? How many people liked
Yeah.
something? Just to kind of get a sense of, like, what are they actually looking at now?
I think from what I've noticed is you get the most likes, shares, and comments about like snow closures, trash pickup delays, things like that. We'll post like agenda, information, where to find it, where it's going to be held. I'm sure people see them, but they're not. I don't think that's something they have to like, you know, as long as people see it. So, yeah, like I said, some of the main announcements like snow, things that are really going to, could interfere with their commute, things like that. That's
Yeah,
the stuff
that
that's
makes
really
sense.
important.
Yeah.
They're gonna share it out
It's
to
gonna
their
affect
friends.
Their day.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense, especially, I mean, it validates what people told us, right? Tell me when the roads are closed because it impacts my drive to work. Tell me when you're not picking up my trash because then I won't drag the cans to the curb. Like, it's exactly what people want to hear, so that makes perfectly good sense. But so I don't want to, like, force us to do something that doesn't seem valuable, but, I mean, do we want to grab a couple or one each and just go poke around? Like, further validate what Brandon's sharing?
Well, I know Facebook, we can run analytics,
Oh,
right?
that would be fabulous.
Because
So maybe
Sean
we-
runs ours often.
Okay.
It tells you if your viewership is up, down,
Yeah.
how many most liked, like that kind of information.
Oh, that'd be great.
And we also have our YouTube channel where we just put all of our meetings, and they give you detailed analytics like what video was popular. Generally the what's that? What's
Is
that?
anybody looking at them? How many
Yeah,
people are looking
yeah.
at them?
Usually the workshops and the regular meetings are the ones that get the most traffic.
Yeah. So maybe we start with that. Maybe we see what analytics are available.
Yeah.
I got the time is
And start
8:30.
there.
You said we're closing in 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah, no,
But,
please.
I was going to say, and talk about trash, if anybody's Friday, there's no trash or recycling this Friday. It's Flag Day.
I thought you were going to
Day.
call me. I thought it was going to be a personal call.
No.
What? No call?
International Friday, thank you for
Yes,
letting me
so
know.
no trash or recycling this Friday.
All right.
Yes,
Good to
but
know.
next year, it'll be Juneteenth, not Flag Day. Did you know that? You guys don't know that yet,
No, but a
but-
lot of townships do.
Yes, because the AXME guys just changed their contract for next year, and then the non-bargaining will follow suit, as we always have, so. Thank you, sorry, I have to run.
No,
Okay.
no.
Enjoy your Flag Day.
Thanks, Karen.
Yes.
Make sure to wave your flag.
Okay, so I think we're in good shape, right? I mean, we'll all look
Yeah.
at different municipalities, see what we come up with. We'll see if we can run some analytics on what we currently have. That seems like a good place to start. Anything last? Any other brilliant ideas? Anything we didn't get to today? I love this group.
I know. This seems very useful.
Now this is great. So we'll get all this out so that everybody has record of it, and also so that we pull back in our missing members tonight. Thank you.